Hey guys, it's Mike with Redneck Politics, where your voice matters. Guys, I got some stuff to talk to you about today, and we're talking about definitely futuristic shit. I mean, I remember growing up when we would have shows like Star Trek, uh, Lost in Space, just your futuristic type of shows. Um, you know, and you would watch these shows and you would know that they're just so far advanced that it'd be 100,000 years before we got anything like that. But we got it. Um, the Biden administration was working on a undercover sting operation, and what it was you had these particular persons trying to sell our government, which they didn't know they were our government. They were undercover. But to sell this weapon to pretty much anybody who wanted to buy it. But we ended up getting it. And we've done a lot of reverse engineering on it since then. And we have kind of been, you know, working on it to improve it as we've gone along. One of the things they used when they went into Venezuela to get Maduro. It was a weapon that was designed to send out these radio wavelengths and to destroy anything in that area as far as your electrical grid and things like that. It's not necessarily making this big explosion and all this damage on the ground like you would normally expect when somebody's bombing. This now is made to explode before it ever gets to land, and it knocks out all your electrical grid. Now, America has, we've been looking at this type of technology for the longest time, but so has China and so has Russia. And speaking of Russia, the weapon that we confiscated during that undercover sting operation uh, can be used anywhere, anytime, at any place without having to use any large area in order to do it. Um, the weapon that they seized and started, you know, trying to figure out everything about it, a lot of the components that's in this weapon is from Russia. So we know some of the original origins has come out of Russia. Now, most of us know, and you've probably seen it yourself. We now have these naval ships that's got the big lasers on top of it, and you can fire that laser, and it can do all kind of different damage, just depending on what they want done. This here is completely different. It's no bigger than a small box. You can put it inside of a backpack. And when you put it together, it almost looks like a round radar, detect. Uh, the big things that look up at the sky. uh, but you can use this thing anywhere, at any place, because it is small enough that once you take it out, you can set it up and you can direct it in any direction you want to go. And it's not been proved, but they do believe some type of weapon like this has been used in the past, because once it's directed at, let's say, a platoon, they can cause a lot of damage in that, because it affects the mind. It affects your thinking, your brain. Um, and it just makes you're useless. There's nothing you can do. I mean, you can be standing there with a M16 in your hand. Next thing you know, you're on the ground and you're not move. You can't move. You know, it's just totally got you consumed. And those are what they call radio waves. Actually, it's a pulse uh, radio waves that sends us out. I mean, technology is getting so far advanced. I mean, it's just not even funny. But you know, think about it now. We have weapons that can stop pretty much anything in its tracks. If a train's going down a road, they can take these systems and actually shut the whole system down. They can do it with airports, uh, and that would be bad. Uh, but you can take this, like I said, and put it in a backpack. And any terrorist that could get a hold of something like this can wreak serious havoc. And it looks to me this is where we're going, the future that we're headed towards. Now you have weapons where your son goes to war and he comes back a complete vegetable. It's crazy. But that's technology. And you know, like I said, the Russians they've had a hand in this for a while because a lot of the components off this weapon are Russian. They're Russian-made components. China is definitely working on the same type of system, and I wouldn't doubt for a minute they have something, if not close to what we have, something different, maybe even better. But it's mind-boggling to think that a person can take something like this, sit in a backpack, maybe go to New York City when they have the New Year, the dropping the ball, and they can take and direct this towards that crowd. And the crowd will actually just start going crazy. Their minds is they're not functioning like someone normal would function. I mean, basically, these radio waves are coming in and hitting, and it's just like locking you up, man. Everything you've got just locking you up to where you are, you know, you're no good. Now, I don't know if the long term effects off of this is bad or not. I'm sure we have a lot more investigating, a lot more research as far as technology to really start making these things, you know, the way we want them and what they need to be used for. But guys, your future is here. It is here. And you know, they're going to start using a lot more of these weapons. Now, I will say this. If you can save American lives on the battlefield, we need this kind of weapon all day long because our kids, our sons, our daughters, our brothers, our these are Americans that 9 times out of 10 has gone to another country to defend that other country and lost their lives in doing so. And see, that's kind of really what irritates my ass about Trump is because you've had all these veterans that have been in war. You have people that have died in war and never come back. And to hear Trump call them suckers and losers, I guess you ain't got to kind of think about how I feel about it because my dad, he was a veteran. He was a helicopter pilot in the Army. He got shot down in Vietnam. He took an AK-47 round to his face. It took off just about his whole face, and they did 40 surgeries on his face to try to correct it. And they did a good job. But he still had this one scar that went across the top of his mouth. So when we send our loved ones into battle or to go in and support another nation, I mean, we're sacrificing a lot by our sons going in battle and take a chance at never coming home defending another country. But don't get me wrong, our allies in NATO, every time we have had an issue, they've been right there. And that's why this Greenland shit is really getting out of hand. Uh, Trump's going to get in there and try to push himself. And it's just interesting to see what NATO, how they're going to respond to it. Because so far, they are not with it. But guys, the futuristic weapons are here. It looks like they're here to stay. And yes, we definitely need to tweak these things, to where it's perfected for our use, in battle. But you can thank President Biden for his administration, his FBI, his DOJ, all these, they stopped this before anybody could get their hands on it. Because think about it. Just think, if he would have not, if they wouldn't have had the undercover sting, they weren't the ones that were going to meet the person to buy if they were not those people, well, then who would be the people? And if they were the people, would they use it here in the United States against Americans? That's the question. And I think we can all pretty much say safely they would. But guys, I wanted to tell you about that because a lot of this, even 10 years ago, when it was all first starting to play out of us starting to have, futuristic weapons, they had diagnosed some of these guys in Cuba with what they call the Havana syndrome, because they could not explain exactly what it was or what caused the problem in these people. And now, 10 years later, they're figuring it out. So again, I don't know how much damage it will cause long term. It's definitely, I know, better than being shot with an AK-47 to your face. I know that. But it's going to be interesting to see how they actually use it. Because, if you can go to Moscow and you got 2 or 3 of these different, these look like satellite dishes, satellite screens. And in 3 or 4 different areas in Moscow, you could wreak havoc there. You could do a lot of damage. What we don't want is that damage coming here to the United States. I am all for anything that we can use futuristically, because think about it. If they would have went in to get Maduro out in Venezuela, there would have been a lot. Ships probably would have been firing from the water. You may have helicopters coming over, drop. It would have been a lot more damage. But that's why it was kept to a minimum. And it's because of this particular weapon. They drop it, it comes down. Before it actually hit, it explodes, and then it tears every electrical grid there is around it up. So it's basically what they did was they cut off any contact that Maduro could have made while he was in that compound before they got to him. But it didn't happen that way. It worked. They got to him, and now he's ours. So we'll let the court system deal with that and keep supporting our military. They're the greatest military in the world for the greatest country in the world. Well, guys, if you like this kind of content, please hit the alert, like it for me, but most of all, subscribe for me. As I've said before, it's just me. I have no team. I make no money, no sponsors, no nothing. It's me all by myself. But I do it because I love it, I enjoy it, and I want you to have the facts. And nowadays with the media and the way the Republicans and the way the Democrats spin everything, sometimes we don't know whether we're coming or fucking going. But we're going to see if we can't change all that. So please hit that subscribe. If you want nothing but the true, uh, news you're getting, there's no building it up. It's straight facts. That's what you're going to get here. So, guys, I appreciate it. Like I said, hit the alert, hit the like, and go ahead, subscribe to me. I appreciate it. Much love. I'll see y'all next time.